Raw Impressions with Lou and Adele. Episode number
5. Anyone else like the number 5? 5, 25, 55, 75?
5 is I would imagine that, it's a very important number in nature. We have got 5 digits on our paws.
Digits.
5 digits.
Yeah, where else is 5?
Keith Richards has 5 strings on his guitar.
But why do people get so attached to numbers? Like, why did I decide I like the number 5 and then feel like I have to tell people? And then people are like, oh, well, this number's my favorite number. Yours is 17, right?
Mm-hmm. It is.
Like, why have we humans done that? I don't know.
I don't know.
We think that's interesting about ourselves and we have to share it with others.
Well, we like to attach importance to those things.
Obviously. It's like, because I brought it up and then like if you have
just trying to make sense of this crazy world.
Yeah, that's true. So we're just in this swirl, and so we're like, please,
just
God.
grasping at straws and things. Oh!
I'll just like a number. That'll help give me some stability.
But 17 is my favorite number because I was born on July 17th. So it's very self-involved.
It's like an obvious choice.
Yeah. But I also really liked being 17.
Really?
I did. I'd started skipping school once in a while.
Rebel.
I liked, and I skipped school and I went to the library. Yeah.
That's pretty dangerous. Well, my senior high school boyfriend was a big Grateful Dead fan, and he was a percussionist, very talented guy. But he, loved the Grateful Dead, and I really liked my boyfriend, and so I thought that I kind of needed to listen to the Grateful Dead, or basically pretend that I liked the Grateful Dead. And the truth is, I really didn't like the Grateful Dead. And that's no shade to the Grateful Dead but they certainly don't need me because they have millions of fans. Millions? Maybe thousands? I don't know.
It's growing every
there's
day.
A lot. I will say my grandma Frida, rest in peace. She's not alive anymore, but when she met my high school boyfriend, she flat out told me that I had to be interested and show interest in his interests.
She told you?
She did, yeah.
Yes. Well, she would be speaking directly from another generation.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. No, I'm not holding that against her or anything like that. And I'm just saying that just was my reality, though, is that books, like I said, were not my hobby the other day. Books were my hobby more in high school. And I read a lot of books, and she told me that I was reading too many books and that boys didn't like girls who were too smart.
Thanks, Grandma.
Yeah. Yeah. So, truth telling, I did not like the Grateful Dead. I feel kind of ashamed, to say that and to admit that now because I feel like I lied, and I did lie.
There is a great,
I really wanted to be.
It is becoming almost illegal to say that you don't like
I know.
the Grateful
That's
Dead.
why I almost feel like people, like the shadows are starting to surround me, like in Ghost. They're going to come for me.
Right now, moving through Congress requires everyone
to be a deadhead.
But now the Grateful Dead they're here.
Beloved,
beyond beloved.
Beyond beloved. Truly.
They, the culture around, the thing that amazed me about the Grateful Dead, and I witnessed this myself, I was on a tour once. I was in Sacramento with Sebadoh. We had just opened up for Pavement and Buffalo Automata, the Kettle Club, I believe it was called. And that night we went out to find hotel rooms, and every hotel was full of Deadheads because the Grateful Dead had done a show in Sacramento, kind of like a home show. Mm-hmm. California, like right there. Sacramento being fairly close to San Francisco. It was just incredible. Like, just every hotel was full. There were these school buses with, VW bugs like welded onto the top of them. It was just it was truly remarkable. And I was really struck by that, and like much respect to the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
But
They love their fans too.
But people, and I knew someone who, he didn't like the Grateful Dead, but he went to the shows just to get up to shit, just to just to get up to like heavy drugs, to get, to just, he wanted to be in the parking lot because it was just this chaotic yet sort of, just this colony of people that followed this band, and the excitement that went with that. And that really struck me.
This feels like a Deadhead podcast.
I don't want a hashtag. I don't want a Grateful Dead hashtag.
This is definitely not the podcast for a real Grateful Dead fan, because they would just be really mad. And I'm not here for anger. I'm not trying to make anyone angry. What I really was listening to, like, privately, was like Jane's Addiction and The Cure, and I really loved them, and Susie and the Banshees and the Cocteau Twins, which we've talked about, but like I had to put my little Grateful Dead t-shirt on and hop around, and
whoa,
God, I really also hated watching people spin when they would dance. I know. Oh God, I feel terrible saying that. And then, but it did. It was like, it just, this is going to get me canceled. I used to just see the spin and I just felt, I recoiled. I did. I really did. Oh, dear me. And then you know what comes along with the Grateful Dead?
What?
Fish. Oof, when I start hearing that like meatly guitar thing that just goes on and on and on, I'm like, get to the point, man.
Well, it's about the experience. It's a cultural...
It's about being super high and spinning.
Well, there's that very funny Dave Chappelle skit that he does with John Mayer where John Mayer starts playing a lead and then all of the Caucasian people start spinning. Anyway.
Oh, God.
Have you seen that?
No. But
it's very funny.
It makes perfect sense.
John Mayer's a funny guy.
He is. He's very funny.
I like him. I have a real soft spot for John Mayer.
Your body is a wonderland. He said it.
He did.
He said it. So
he also has that nice song, "Waiting on the World to Change."
Oh, you love that song.
I love that song.
Maybe we should learn that one. You should learn that one.
Yep.
I actually feel like I want to try and sing it. I'm a terrible singer. I can't sing that song.
That would be funny.
But I would love to try. Like, it just, there is something. Waiting on the. How you sing it?
We could do a really amazing grotesque version of Waiting on the World to Change.
Correct. It would be grotesque. It would be truly, truly grotesque. And I'm so deeply sorry, John Mayer. But he has a sense of humor, so he'll understand.
Me and my friends, we're all misunderstood. They say we stand for nothing, and there's no way we could. Now we see everything going wrong, and those who lead it, we feel like we can't rise above and beat it. We keep waiting on the world to change, and keep on waiting on the world to change. It's hard to beat the system when you're standing at a distance. We keep waiting on the world to change. If we had the power to keep our neighbors from lies, they wouldn't miss a Christmas, they wouldn't have died. When you trust your television, what you give is what you got. When they own the information, they can bend it all they want. So we're waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting on the world to change. It's not that we don't care, we just know the fight ain't fair. We keep waiting on the world to change. We keep waiting, waiting on the world to change. Keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. One day our generation's gonna rule the population. We keep waiting, waiting on the world to change. Waiting.
I had a realization today.
Uh-huh.
We were talking about TV theme songs.
Oh, yes. And I had mentioned on Mini Music Monday that I like this idea of you perhaps learning some TV theme songs from
Right.
my youth,
So today,
our youth.
while I was waiting on our recording to begin,
Uh-huh.
I just sort of mindlessly pulled up the Diff'rent Strokes theme
Oh.
on Google and checked out the lyrics and the chords.
I liked that show. I watched that show, of course.
That show started you were only 1 year old when it first
But it was
aired.
on when I was a kid. Everything was on. It must have been reruns.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I would assume that there was
Sure.
a lot of Diff'rent Strokes reruns.
I was a child of the 80s, so I just watched a lot of TV.
Yeah. Now the world don't move to the beat of just one drum. What might be right for you may not be right for some. A man is born, he's a man of means. Then along came two, they got nothing but the genes. It takes different strokes, it takes different strokes, it takes different strokes to rule the world. Now, I sing this because I wanted to point this out, that then along came two, they got nothing but their genes. I never knew what they were saying in the theme song.
What does that mean?
They were poor.
Their genes?
They were two poor boys. They were
Oh, like the clothes on their body.
yeah, they were
thinking like genetics. Okay.
They were the children of
He adopted them, right?
he adopted them. They were his housekeeper's children. She had died. She was a widow. I mean, she wasn't a widow. She died.
See, I don't even really remember the
widow? Maybe she
story
was.
at all. It's
Yeah,
just, I just remember,
I didn't know it either until I did a little. I did a little Wikipedia
right.
thing
I just
today.
thought it was two brothers and then the dad, right, who adopted them.
Yeah, the businessman.
The businessman,
But the story
right.
is that it was his housekeeper who died.
Interesting.
But they came poor, I guess, because he didn't pay his housekeeper very well.
That's not very nice.
I know, it's interesting. It's like
Different
different.
strokes.
There's no E. It's
Different.
They actually took the E out of the middle of different. Different.
Different.
not different.
Yeah, not different.
Different strokes.
Different strokes.
Different strokes. That's a
Different strokes.
that would be a really good Strokes cover band.
That would be an amazing Strokes cover band. I love that. Different Strokes.
You could you could do Different
Get on
Strokes
it, kids.
themed songs, you know. And wear sweater vests on stage.
I'd love to see a Strokes cover band.
A Strokes cover band
Different
dressed
Strokes.
dressed like
Just like the show. Oh man.
Arnold and Willis.
Oh,
And
that's cute. That's funny to think about.
what was the housekeeper's name? She went on, Mrs. Drummond. She went on to have her own show.
Yeah. Facts of Life. Oh my God, did I love that show.
I hated that show.
I love that show. That show gave me fantasies about living in her home, whatever it was, her orphanage. What was
I have
that?
to say that show for me was like
The heck was that place?
fantasy less.
Oh, you didn't like vibe over Joe or Blair?
I
or
wasn't attracted to any of
Tootie,
them.
Rudy, any of the, I don't know.
I wasn't attracted to any of them.
Sleeveless knit vests had a real moment in the early 80s, you know, with like an argyle pattern, a lot of browns. I see stuff from my childhood, and I was rocking a lot of like brown corduroy pants and argyle plaid, argyle and plaid knits. jumpers. And forest green. I feel like forest green also was having a big moment in the early 80s. Forest green, corduroy, and maroon.
I don't remember colors.
Color is huge in my memory. I had like this blue layered, tiered, flouncy dress that my mom had sewn little bells into the ruffle layers. And it gave me so much joy to move around in that dress because I loved ringing like a little bell as I moved around.
Oh,
Thanks, Mom.
that's a good memory.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really sweet.
I have a lot of pretty strong memories, actually, of like my early childhood on the west side of St. Paul. We lived in a very old house and on a hill and Morton Street in St. Paul. And I spent a lot of time in this one like wicker rocking chair listening to records when I was little. And I would sit on this chair with my feet up and I would stare at the album covers while I would listen to the music, and I would just, I don't know, sort of like fantasize about these people or their lives. And ABBA was huge for me. So one of my favorites was ABBA.
You're just staring, but you could probably remember the color scheme.
Oh, the cover is like imprinted in me.
Yeah.
I loved the fashion so much. So I guess I loved fashion from when I was just really young.
There was a Beatles greatest hits record that I had where they were all wearing brown turtlenecks and brown suede jackets.
Mm-hmm. Wow. A little
I do
monochromatic.
remember that.
You do remember that.
I do.
Yeah.
I do remember that. And I just, like you said, I stared at it. And I had this, I remember being at my grandparents' house in New Jersey, in New Providence, New Jersey. They had a little house it was right on this very toxic river. But
maybe another
actually
day.
killed my grandparents.
Oh God.
They both died of environmental cancers, but very young. But
Your grandparents both died of environmental cancers.
yeah. And they they had this house in New Jersey that was right on this very polluted river. But I remember sitting in their living room and putting on this big pair of headphones, just a huge pair of headphones, and listening to Elton John and the Beatles.
We had birds too. My mom had birds for pets.
Yeah, she had a dove.
She had a beautiful white dove that never got a name other than just Dove. And
Dove is a beautiful name.
Yeah, why not Dove, actually, right? And she would hold this dove in her hands and coo to it. She would sing like a dove to it, and they would sing to each other, and it would like sit on her shoulder while she was painting, because she was an artist. She would paint, and we had a really nice studio in the back of the house, and this dove was just really unique and special. It was like my mom's. They were buds, and it lived extremely long. I have to confirm with my mom, but that dove lived a very, very long life.
There should just be a guitar.
I know.
Behind that whole.
Can you do a dove's coo?
Oh no.
It's
It's great.
It's really beautiful.
It's this beautiful hollow.
Try it.
Ooh, no, it's like.
It's got a little bit of a trill, like.
Yeah.
Ooh, ooh.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. I'm not a good. I don't imitate things.
My
well.
mom was also a really good whistler, which is also a big part of an 80s childhood, because when you're little in the 80s, your parents whistle to come to tell you it's dinner time.
My dad was a really good whistler too.
Is he? Yeah.
Oh,
I think my dad also whistled well. But yeah, whistling.
My dad, like, because we would just open up the door in the morning and let our dog go. That was like a really great 70s thing, was just wild dogs.
Just dogs.
Like, the dog would come back soaked in blood.
Oh my God.
Sometimes skunked. The dog it would come back like so happy. And it just been, because we lived near a railroad track in these fairly large tract of wooded land, like forest. So the dog would just take off and then would come home just like, my dad would have to sit, he would whistle just this really powerful powerful whistle.
Wow.
And the dog would come running back, covered in burrs and like sticks in its fur. And it's, I mean, just like
happy as a clam, right? Just where did that dog go all day? Oh my gosh.
And it was
having the best time.
But I could never whistle, and I still, because it's actually blowing out. Like it's like, I have a really hard time doing that. But I can whistle.
Hey.
I can whistle by sucking.
You can reverse whistle.
I suck air into whistle.
Huh.
But my dad was just, pure projection and beautiful. My dad actually has a very good voice. He is, and he's quite musical. He really did love music, and he sang a lot when I was a kid, and he has a really nice voice.
I don't know if I've ever heard him sing.
We were meant for each other, sure as heavens above. We were meant for each other, to have, to hold, and to love. Do, what you're gonna do.
That was John Barlow in 1957.
In church, he would really like bust it out because
Really?
he knew because we would he was raised in Roman Catholic churches, went to a Roman Catholic high school, and he was a good Catholic boy, and he would really dig into the hymns.
Oh, I love a good hymn.
Yeah, and there was a quality to his voice that there was a proud quality to it.
I could see that.
Like he felt and he was able to carry a tune.
He knew he could sing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he never learned to play guitar, but he always had one lying around the house because I think there was always this aspiration. Maybe he would pick it up. Maybe just someday he would pick it up and become Glenn Campbell because Glenn Campbell was this iconic figure. Like he looked pretty much the same age as my father and my uncles, and they looked like him. They had the same haircut, that sort of
a kind of thick comb over.
Comb over. It wasn't too long, and actually stayed above the ears for a pretty long time. Like it didn't really descend.
Kind of went to the eyebrow, right?
It did, and they kept the ears going, but the hair was getting thicker as the 60s and when the 70s progressed, but the hair didn't really start touching the ears until the early 70s, I would say.
Did your parents listen to Glenn Campbell?
We did. We had Glenn Campbell records, and they sounded incredible. They sounded so beautiful, like songs like Galveston, Wichita Lineman. It's knowing that your door is always open and your path is free to walk. That song.
Oh, you're
Makes
gonna make me
tender.
cry.
Leave my sleeping bag rolled up and stashed behind your couch.
His voice makes me cry.
It's
God damn, Glenn Campbell.
Gentle on my mind.
I can't, that song.
Oh God. No, it's making me tingle thinking about it right now. It's actually, I feel that.
The guitar is so beautiful in it too. It twinkles.
He was a studio guitar player. When he started, he was primarily a guitar player. He played on all kinds of 60s hits, like all the Amazing Monkeys records, and I think he probably played on Beach. He was part of this crew of people that made
I didn't know that.
That churned out pop music in the early 60s.
So he did studio work.
He decided to go solo and sing, and one of the really cool things about him was that which wasn't unusual, but it was sort of unusual at the time because in the 60s, that's when people started to be known for writing their own songs. Like the Beatles really ushered that era in. But classically or traditionally, the singers find songs. They don't necessarily have they don't write them necessarily. It's not they are the vehicle for the song.
I think Reba McEntire once said that I do the singing, I leave the songwriting up to the experts or something.
Yeah.
There's like some
and,
Reba McEntire
but
quote.
Glenn picked, he really looked and found songs that he loved and that he wanted to, and it was like back then, choosing the songs that you play was almost like a political statement as well, because he did a song like Galveston, which was about the Vietnam experience, about a young man in Vietnam, wanting to go home to Galveston, and it's a very intense song. I mean, but you would have to. He really chose things. He made cool selections for his material, and he also had a primetime television show that I was obsessed with.
Really?
Yes, that he had. It was.
What was it?
It was the Glenn Campbell Good Time Hour. Oh. I have some of the DVDs I bought. And they're like absolute, just these time capsules, much like the Johnny Cash shows from that time period. But he would have musical guests do amazing duets, sing live versions of his hit songs, and he looked fucking awesome. All corduroy and fucking turtlenecks and vests and like perfect hair and cool ass fucking brown boots. Wow. Great dance numbers with just choreographed with these
incredible
young women dancing their hearts out, and it was like the Good Time Hour.
That sounds like a great time.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, what a thing to see. I love that's a memory. You have like a strong memory from your childhood. It might look differently than mine, but
it doesn't, like I said, I honestly, it has almost no color to it, but that doesn't, but what it does have,
feeling.
It has like a feeling. Like I feel my heartbeat start increasing. I feel it in my body. I feel tingling. I feel kind of like remembering how, because when I hear something good, when I hear something that I like, I just break out and goose pimples, and
you feel it in your whole body.
I feel it. It's like it just spreads, and my hair stands on end, and I can just, if you.
That's how you described the OCs to me. You said that band made you feel crazy, and that you just, I think you said like just tingling and on fire. They truly made me feel like it was the most wonderful fire to be and they
engulfed, and the most wonderful flames were engulfing me, because they just everything, because it's
a retro sound they have.
They do have a retro sound, but it's also very modern, and it's like, oh my God, I can't.
We had an incredibly fun experience getting to stand side stage at Coachella 2013 for the OCs, and I got to watch you watch them, and that right there was 100% joy. You looked like a child,
Oh, really?
Probably seeing Glenn Campbell Good Time Hour. You looked so happy, just stars in your eyes. Maybe we should wrap up episode 5. This will be our finest episode to date because it's my favorite number, 5.
Give me all your raw impression, your thoughts, your words, your memories. Give me all your raw impression, thoughts, your words, your memories.